Good afternoon, Beacons fans. Welcome to a picture-perfect day here at UMB softball field. Western Connecticut, the opponent for your Beacons this afternoon. Doubleheader, 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And we are just about set to get this one underway. My name is Mason Stealth. I'll have the first game of the doubleheader for you. Dave Wahlberg on the other end. Beacons take the field defensively. Just tuning in, you may have heard the end of the PA announcements announcing the starting lineups, but we will take you around the Beacons outfield on this amazing day. It is a little bit breezy. Things will be blowing left to right across this diamond here at UMB softball field, and also blowing a little bit into our faces. We are stationed behind the catcher, just off to the right, so wind blowing into our face. So anything hit out toward right field, pulled by a left-handed batter, or taken the other way by a righty could be interesting. And anything out toward left field might blow its way back into baseball play, or softball play. But defensively, for your Beacons this afternoon in game 1 of 2, they will start Emily Doble in the pitcher's circle. Doing the catching, Tam Landry. Left to right around the outfield, Sarah Harlinski, Christina Pangiotopoulos, and Ali Diuti. Left to right around the outfield. In the infield, left to right, will be Haley Tilbury, Kaylee Bruce, Sydney Sandin, and Jordan Toomey. Digging in for the first at-bat of the day, Jada McConey for Western Connecticut. First pitch is called a strike by the home plate umpire. No balls and a strike. Jada McConey, Carly Cordova, and Carly Vito. First three due up for WestCon and the away white tops with orange sleeves. This one slapped over to third, played on one hop, and the first batter of the day is retired by Emily Doble. We'll give you her numbers in just a moment. Take you through the rest of this WestCon lineup. McConey, Cordova, Vito, then Amber Rogendorf. Plays first base, hits cleanup, and she is their power bat. Does everything for this WestCon team, both offensively and defensively. Erin Keeley, designated player, bats fifth. Sydney Chenoweth plays short, bats sixth, as the first pitch of the at-bat is just low on the fastball to Carly Cordova, the center fielder. Bottom three in the WestCon order, Madison Ziccanelli. Out in left field, Avery Gabrinas is the catcher, and Rachel Ushka at second. The 1-0 swung on and missed for strike one. A little bit of rise ball action from Emily Doble. For Emily, this is her 8th appearance and 6th start of the season. She's gone complete in 3 of those 5 starts. She winds up and delivers. And she gets the call on the outside corner breaking ball, just catching the strike zone before it dipped away. That's the beauty of that pitch. It doesn't end up in the strike zone, but it starts there and just catches part of it. Swinging away and slapping this out to right. Putting the play away is Diuti. And it's 2 up, 2 down for UMass Boston in the top of the first. Brings in Carly Vito.
Right fielder, number 11.
Number 11 in white, trimmed in orange with the bright orange pants. Vito on the season hitting .375, just barely missing out on being a qualifying hitter. If she could, that would be 4th best on the team. But in order to be a qualifying hitter, you have to average at least 2 plate appearances per game, as well as play in 75% of the games. So she just misses that category, but 6 for 16 for Carly Vito so far. She hits this one back to the pitcher, bobbled, picked up, and thrown over, and they're going to get her by a half a step. Emily Doble sticks with it, and she gets a hustling Carly Vito for the final out of the first. 1, 2, 3 go WestCon in the in the away half of inning number 1. UMass Boston coming to bat. No score early. Give you the rest of Doble's numbers. Mention that she has started now appeared in 8 games, started now 6. ERA of 2.05 coming into this ball game. 30 2/3 innings pitched. 9 earned runs allowed, 15 total on 38 hits. struck out 20, has walked 5. And she will be going up and against an opposition pitcher today, Haley Golembuski. Golembuski is stellar. She has been all season long. She is the ace for this WestCon staff. 12 appearances, 8 starts coming in. The ERA, though, despite a 4-3 record, is impeccable. 0.83. In fact, WestCon as a team, despite a 10-6 record, has an ERA of 1.92. That shows that defensively and pitching, they are incredible. Offensively, they can have struggles. But for Golembuski, 42 full innings pitched, just 5 earned runs allowed. That's how you get out to the 0.83. Has allowed 10 runs total, only 5 earned though. 26 hits, 59 Ks to just 11 base on balls. She will be going up against Diuti Perquette, the designated player for UMass Boston, and Sydney Sandin. Those are the top 3. Then it's Tilbury, Pangiotopoulos, and Kaylee Bruce, 4, 5, and 6, with the bottom 3 of Landry, Toomey, and Harlinski. UMass Boston wearing the home uniforms today. The grays, pinstriped in blue and white across the front with beacons emblazoned across the chest. Bright blue pants and white socks. Ali Diuti leads things off against Golembuski, and she takes a pitch high on the first pitch that the Beacons see today. Diuti, if she qualified, would be the team's leader in batting average. 448 so far this season for Diuti. That's why she's in the leadoff spot. Can hit for contact. Swings through strike 1. 13 for 29 so far this season for that 448 average. She has appeared in now 12 games of the 17 that UMass Boston has played, including this one. The 1-1. Swings through strike 2. Overpowering fastball from Golembuski. You combine that with a filthy rise ball and some change-up breaking ball combinations that just flabbergast the mind. That's why she is one of the best pitchers in this conference. Winds up, delivers the 1-2, and gets called strike 3. Diuti down looking. In steps Brittany Perquette. Just the 4th appearance of the season for Brittany. Her second start. 2 for 5 in limited action so far. Lefty-righty matchup with the lefty Perquette at the dish. Squares to slap and takes strike 1 on another fastball. We haven't seen Golembuski have to do anything other than throw the fastball so far. She's been locating that pitch nicely. And if she can get strikeouts on the fastball, makes the other pitches in her arsenal that much more devastating. Inside, though, on the second pitch. Count evens up, 1 ball and a strike. Middle infield pinching. Amber Rogendorf at first base. And down the line at third, Jada McConey will take you around the WestCon defense in just a moment. First, the 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. Bunted foul down by McConey. Outfield for Western Connecticut, Ziccanelli in left with Cordova in center, Vito in right. Left to right around the infield. McConey, who just fielded that foul ball. Chenoweth at short. Ushka at second. And Rogendorf, their best player offensively as well as potentially defensively outside of their pitcher, over at first base. Behind the plate, Avery Gabranis catching Golembuski with the designated player Aaron Keeley today for Western Connecticut in Game 1. Both these teams enter with a record of 10-6. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Strike 3. Chased her on the rise ball and could not make contact, so back-to-back Ks to open things up. 1 of each variety, forwards and backwards, in Western Connecticut 2 up, 2 down on these UMass Boston hitters. 5 up, 5 down in the game for both teams. Expect this to be potentially low scoring. UMass Boston's team ERA is nothing to sneeze at either, as this one fouled off behind us. UMB a team ERA of 2.78. Western Connecticut's 1.92, so very well could be one of those 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 games. Every run will be at a premium over the course of this doubleheader for your Beacons. Swung on and missed. Strike 2 to Sydney Sandin. Sid, 16 games in start. She has played and started every single game. One of only 2 Beacons who can say that. Pangiotopoulos is the other. She's in the hole currently. The 0-2. Nice setup pitch outside. You bring that pitch outside, that allows you to tack inside. Everything works, doesn't matter, baseball and softball, works in opposites. So down and away works in tandem with up and in and vice versa. So she goes down and away with that pitch. We'll see where she attacks on this one. It is the up and in on the hands, but nice foul off there by Sydney Sandin. Sandin, .326 batting average, 15 hits and 46 at-bats. Still down in the count, 1-2. The payoff. Outside again. Good eye from Sandin. Haley Tilbury on deck. Mentioned these 2 teams both come in with identical records, 10 wins, 6 losses. UMass Boston coming off the back of a doubleheader sweep that they suffered on the road against the anchor women of Rhode Island College this weekend. This pitch is low, and the count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Like to see Galabowski work. Of course, in the sport of softball, pitch count not too much of a factor. So even in the first inning, she's going to go most likely the entire game. Full count. Fouled off to the left side. Like this at bat from Sydney Sandin. Even if she doesn't get a hit here, it's nice to see Galambowski have to work, go through her different pitches. We've really seen her only throw 1 breaking pitch. It's mainly been fastballs and a rise ball, which I guess you could call a breaking pitch, but is a variation of the fastball. This one tapped up foul. Falls right in between. Could not have split the defenders any better than that. Gabrinas couldn't reach it, and neither could McConey down the line at third. And the at-bat continues. Western Connecticut, on the other hand, had their first conference series of the season this past weekend canceled, or postponed, I should say. So they are playing their first Little East Conference game today. That is out of the zone. Ball 4 just outside. Galambowski, a little bit of a grimace, wry smile on her face as she walks Sydney Sandin. And UMass Boston has a base runner with 2 women out in the inning. Galambowski, not a pitcher that walks much. 42 innings. She's only walked 11 coming in, so that's walk number 12. So you do the math on that. Basically every 3.5 innings, or every half a game, as this one caroms off of the home plate umpire's mask. She seems to be okay. But certainly she wasn't awake coming in 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. She is now. They quickly check on things. Fouled right past the glove and could not have caught the face mask any more square than that. Step back in there and continue, but I don't think you could umpire for 40 years, and I don't think you'll ever get used to that. No balls and a strike. Fouled straight back, out of play. Tight, close confines here at UMB softball field, so anything that escapes the confines of play, everybody got to be careful. Can ricochet and bounce anywhere. Galambowski ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Runner on first. Throws her setup pitch. You can see that's her go-to. She gets ahead in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. She wants to attack that outside part of the plate and open up everything. But just missing by an inch or 2. As the sun continues to shine. The 1-2. Got her on the rise ball, strike 3. She allows a walk but strikes out the side, and there's no score through 1 inning. Here at UMB softball field as Tilbury swings through it, as did Burkett, and Diuti went down looking. So no score after one. As expected, this is likely to be a low-scoring affair. Both pitchers very capable of going deep into this game, if not completing it, without too much difficulty. And so it's going to be the question of who can break through. Doble returns to the mound, or the circle. Digs her out her own little mound there. She will face off against the middle third of Amber Rogendorf, Erin Keeley, and Sydney Chenoweth in this top of the second inning. You're watching the Beacons Broadcast Network, part of the Little East Conference Network. Here from just south of the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. Tuesday afternoon, perfect weather conditions for softball. We have baseball going on as well. Beacons taking on Endicott today on the baseball side of things, as this one fouled back into the cage. Amber Rogendorf can rake. It's putting it lightly. The batting average of .442. She and Harlinski for UMass Boston. Harlinski batting ninth today. The two players that qualify hitting above 400. Rogendorf at .442, 19 for 43. 5 runs scored, 4 doubles. 10 runs batted in, second in that category to Carly Cordova on her team. Changeup is low. Ball and a strike. Doble. Grounded to short. Picked off and beautifully played by Chenoweth over there. Or make that Bruce, excuse me. Gets on you fast in this infield, of course. If you're relatively new to softball, 60-foot baselines, as opposed to the 90 you have in baseball. So it really gets on you quickly. You basically have minimal time. Can't make any mistakes when you're fielding on the infield. So a nice play by Kaylee Bruce at short to retire Rogendorf. First 4 retired by Doble, and that is a perfect pitch. It starts up and dips down at the end. It's a funky game. And when you see some of the pitchers and the English that they can put on these softballs, it is no wonder why you see those viral videos of baseball players who are cocky enough or foolish enough to try and attack softball pitching and look absolutely flabbergasted up there as they are throwing rise balls, curve balls, sliders, and sinkers that do basically everything but what you want them to do. On top of the fact that the pitcher's mound is so much closer as well. Erin Keeley, the designated player, in there for Western Connecticut, has started half the games in which she's appeared so far. 7 of 14, now 8 of 15. 8 for 26. Only 2 home runs this season for Western Connecticut, so mentioned this is a team that relies on its pitching and defense, as this one is grounded up the middle for the first hit of the ball game for WestCon and their first base runner. 1-out single by Erin Keeley. Western Connecticut's 2 homers of the season, recorded by Faith Faber, who we may see in the second game or may come off the bench in a pinch hit situation. Going to have a pinch runner. So entering the ball game for Western Connecticut is Jordan Carbone, the true freshman from Marlboro, New York. Another one of the differences separating baseball and softball. Have that pinch runner. So Jordan Carbone will run, but that does not, the first time anyway, remove Aaron Keeley from play. So, again, if this is not a sport that you watch frequently, you may think, why are you pinch running for somebody in the second inning? Very frequent in the sport of softball. You can re-enter one time if you're a pinch run for. So Keeley heads back to the dugout. Jordan Carbone is in there with one out in the inning. Squaring to bunt. Do they try and throw behind? They do. Carbone gets back. I don't know if she offered at it.
Number 14, Sydney Chenoweth.
Sydney Chenoweth was squaring to bunt there. Swung on and missed. Carbone on the season, pinch running specialist. 3 stolen bases and 4 attempts so far this season. She's only come to the plate 15 times, or 12 times, but she has scored 6 runs. Squaring to bunt, missing it. They throw down to second. They have her by a mile. Beautifully done. So Chenoweth cannot lay it down. And Carbone is out stealing. And striking her out to end the inning is Doble. So Chenoweth, couple of chances to lay down a bunt, cannot do it. And that will retire the side. So because of the caught stealing, Emily Doble has faced the minimum through 2 innings of play. Haley Golumbowski returns to the circle as UMass Boston huddles just in front of us. Kind of like the beautiful throw as well. It was a great tag applied down at second base by Sydney Sandin, but the throw from Tam Landry with Carbone, who is speedy, out by a good step and a half at least. There was no doubt about it. Made it very easy for the base umpire to make that call down at second base. It was clearly a hit and run play as well, as I don't think Carbone got the jump she was looking for. They tried to square it, couldn't lay it down, and when that happens, very difficult on the base runner. Mentioned UMass Boston is coming off of a disappointing 2-game sweep at Rhode Island College. They were mercied 8-0 in 5 innings in game 1 of that doubleheader, and then lost 6-3 in the second. This coming after a nice 3-game win streak. Won the second game of 2 against Salve Regina last Saturday before sweeping Wellesley on the road 3-2 and 10-2. As this one nubbed back to the pitcher. Played easily there by Golumbowski, and she retires Pangiotopoulos for the first out of the Beacon second. Kaylee Bruce and Tam Landry, the next 2 due up for UMass Boston, and 15th year head coach Natalia Ardagna.
Shortstop number 15, Kaylee Bruce.
Assisted by Josh Bartley, Sue Killalea, and Keelan Morse. Golumbowski throwing pitches that are either strikes or look like them. Even the pitches that have been just out of the zone have really been tempting to these hitters. They've done a good job staying back on them, but Golumbowski with so many pitches in her arsenal, but the most important thing that she does is she throws strikes. And I don't care what level you are at, high school, college, the professional level, the Olympic level, baseball, softball, you name it. Throwing strikes is the most important thing. If you can't do that, it makes life infinitely more difficult. That one was sprayed right into the Beacon dugout off the bat of Kaylee Bruce. Bruce in her 8th start and 10th appearance of the 2022 season, 5 of 18 for a batting average of .278. Up and away. Gloved by the pink-haired catcher, Avery Gabrinas. Defense playing straight up. Center fielder could not be playing closer to dead center field right now. Swinging and missing through strike 3 is Bruce, 4th strikeout. Already for Golembuski of the 5 outs that she has recorded. Tam Landry, the Beacon catcher,
The catcher, number 6, Tam
steps
Landry.
into the right-handed hitter's batter's box. Both teams with just the single base runner so far. Beacon still looking for their first hit. Got a walk for Sydney Sandin with 2 outs in the first. Just a lone single for Westcon in the away half of this inning. But that was wiped off with the caught stealing of Carbone. This one whacked toward right field, but continues into foul territory for just a long strike. And once again, Golembuski, who, except for the walk, and she was ahead in that count too, has been ahead at least 1 ball and 2 strikes or better of every single Beacon hitter so far. And that has been her go-to pitch on the 0-2. Like to see her vary that a little bit. At this point, the 0-2 Beacon hitters are expecting it to be just outside and trying to beg them to chase at it, and they haven't. They're also not getting those calls from the home plate umpire. So that's how the Beacons have been able to work back into some counts, is after those 2 strike pitches, outside has been where Golembuski's trying pounding it, but she's not either locating it enough for a strike or making it tantalizing enough for the Beacons to go after it. Oh, they get her on strike 3. After 2 pitches that just miss outside, that one is called in the zone. 5 strikeouts through 7 batters recorded by Golembuski, and definitely does not need to get any additional calls with her ability to find the strike zone. So both teams scoreless through 2 innings. And things going pretty much according to plan at this point in the ball game. Beacons will stay home after this one for another doubleheader on Thursday. Also 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, they will take on the Rams of Framingham State, an out-of-conference game, and then back here on Saturday as well, back in the LEC for 2 games against the Owls of Keene State at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So a nice 6-game homestand over this 2-weekend series, and the midweek, or the 2 midweeks in the weekend for the Beacons. They try and build on a nice 10-6 start. Started their season down in lovely South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, where they took on a plethora of different out-of-conference opponents. Westminster College out of Pennsylvania, SUNY Poly, Muhlenberg as well, Lancaster Bible College, University of St. Joseph. This one hit back into the fence by the number 7 hitter, Madison Ziccanelli. Also took on Franciscan, Mount Aloysius, Wilson, all schools that, unless you are deep into the annals of D3 sports along the East Coast, you may not have heard of. 1 ball and 1 strike, Ziccanelli, Gabrinas, and Ushka, bottom third of the order for Western Connecticut. Emily Doble checks the sign on her band, kicks and fires. Went in there with a changeup, but well out of the zone. Nothing to get Ziccanelli to chase. Batter ahead in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Wind continues to blow, but nothing too serious. Nice pitch. Again, took a little bit of the speed off of it. Gets the batter out in front. And you really have your whole arsenal set up in this situation. You can go back to the rise ball, try and bury one with a breaking ball, or see if you can overpower the batter with the fastball. She goes with the fastball and gets the strikeout. Back-to-back strikeouts for Doble, going back to the 2nd inning. And with the caught stealing, 7 up, 7 down. Brings in the catcher, Avery Gabrinis for West Con. She takes the first pitch and drills this one to right. And did she make the catch? She did. Tight down the line in right field, and a nice play made out there by Ali Diuti for the second out of the inning. In steps the 9-hitter, Rachel Ushka. Has struggled at the plate so far, but she plays a mean second base, so she has kept her place in the order as a result of that. But on the season, despite starting every single game, she's only 5 of 33. Batting average of 152. Would love to raise that here. And you can see she's just trying to find her place up there right now. Almost went with the slap approach on the first pitch, and the second one stayed back and could not have been more behind it. No balls and 2 strikes. Strike 3. Another breaking ball. Dips away from the bat of Ushka. She's down on strikes. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Emily Doble. Through 2.5, no score. UMass Boston and the visiting Western Connecticut State University out of Danbury, making about 2.5 hour trip, depending on how fast you go. It's on a coach bus, so that's not going to move too fast. So we'll go more on the side of 2.5 to 3 for Western Connecticut. Coached by another 15th-year head coach, just as Natalia Ardagna has been with UMass Boston since basically the latter stages of the 2000s, as has Heather Stone in charge of Western Connecticut State. So who will bend first, Galambuski or Doble? Doble passes the baton back to the WestCon hurler, who has taken the strikeout approach through 2 innings. 6 outs retired, 5 via the strikeout. The only players that didn't were Sandin, who worked the walk, and Pangiotopoulos, who grounded back to the pitcher, so she was still involved in the play. Toomey, Harlinski, and Diuti. Harlinski is the team's leading hitter, so don't look at the number 9 hitter and assume that this could be a nice quick inning. It could be, but Beacons are going to have something to say about that. Toomey is first, though. And she swings at the first pitch and is just late on it. Got good wood, or I guess aluminum.
First base number 23, Jordan Toomey.
And sent it to the right side. Toomey, in her 15th start, oftentimes will get lifted. That's why, despite playing in now 16 games and starting 15, she actually only has 19 at-bats. She lays this one down, chasing it over Galambuski, and makes a nice play on it. It was a good bunt, just to the wrong side of the infield. If that's laid down to the third base side, which is obviously easier said than done, no way that you get the hustling Toomey, but she's out 1-3. And in steps Sarah Harlinski.
Fielder, number 19, Sarah Harlinski.
12th start, 13th game for Sarah, and she has been a revelation so far. 12 of 27, 9 runs scored, does have 1 extra base hit. It's a triple to go along with 3 runs batted in. Harlinski, the senior, from the entrance to the Mass Pike in Sturbridge. Beautiful area of the state. Lefty slaps this one to the left side and nearly sends it right into the coaches of Western Connecticut, who are crowding the entrance to their dugout. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes on the Beacon 9-hole. Waiting on deck, Diuti went down looking her first time. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. And the strikeout parade continues for Galambuski. Strikeout number 6 through 2 2/3 for Golembuski. Diuti steps back in for her second at-bat of the day. See if the Beacons can get anything going. Both teams have had just one base runner. Neither advanced past first base. Westcon tried to play some small ball with a bunt and the runner going from first base, but it backfired as the batter could not lay the bunt down. And the runner was caught stealing from second, and then that batter ended up striking out herself. So Beacon still looking for their first hit. They have yet to hit a baseball or softball that has left the infield. Just a couple of ground outs to the pitcher and a walk. This one slapped back behind us once again into the storage sheds that line the Clark Athletic Center. Diuti, another senior from just 10, 12 minutes down the road in Braintree. Swung on and missed, strike 3. And to this point, neither pitcher has been able to be touched so far. 3 innings already in the books here at UMB softball field. No score between Western Connecticut and your UMass Boston Beacons. Mason Stelf with you for the first game of 2 here today. Beacons looking to improve to 11-6 and get their first conference win. Westcon looking for the same, but for different reasons. They, again, had their first series of the season wiped off due to weather conflicts. So still trying to get on the board, and what is their first conference game? And waiting a long time for it. Had a couple of games, not just their conference series, wiped off the board due to those weather issues, as they were supposed to, in addition to their doubleheader against Castleton this past weekend, they were also supposed to play a doubleheader at Williams College. That was supposed to be played on Sunday, but unable to do that. Take the trip up to about as far northwest into this great Commonwealth of Massachusetts as you can to take on Williams, but that was called off as well. So this is the first time they have played since a doubleheader last Wednesday, as this one ripped towards center, making the dive but unable to come up with it out in center field is Pangiotopoulos, and rolling into second base with a double is Jada McConey. Westcon and UMass Boston both know that one run may be enough in this one, so that is a big leadoff double by McConey. Pangiotopoulos got a good jump on it, but as soon as she laid out, did not look like she was going to be able to make it. Backing up the play out there was the left fielder Harlinski. And now Doble is going to have to work through the first runner in scoring position today. It's Carly Cordova at the plate. She squares to bunt, tries to advance the runner 60 feet. Both teams have had difficulty laying down bunts today. Only player that was successful was Jordan Toomey, and it was actually a really nice bunt. She just got thrown out by the pitcher, Golembuski. Cordova, mentioned, hitting .347, so she can hit for sure, but right now she has a job to do, and that is move the runner McConey over. Instead, she slings away at the pitch and gets nothing but air. Interesting that didn't try and square one a second time, and now the pitcher, Doble, ahead in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. This one driven over the shortstop's head into left. The runner will have to halt there. Thought there might be a play over there for Kaylee Bruce, but it just got over her head. Outstretched glove. Runners at the corners. And nobody out for Carly Vito. UMass Boston going through the entire order one time, facing the minimum. Just one hit allowed, and it was wiped off, but 2 straight hits to start the 4th inning. Swinging and missing through that pitch. Doble getting the signs once again. Runner takes off for second. They got her in a run down if they want to, but instead they decide to play it safe and try and keep the runner at third base. Cordova steals second. 2 runners on, nobody out. Western Connecticut looking to strike first. Correct myself, it's not Vito at the plate. It's Brianna Malvino who came in for Vito defensively. The pitch, swung on, hit on the infield. Making the play just into foul territory, sprinting in is Jordan Toomey, and that is a big first out. So Brianna Malvino cannot get the runner home.
First base number 28, Amber Rogendorf.
Brings in Rogendorf. Base is open at first base. You can be careful with Rogendorf. She has all the power and all the ability to put this ball in play and give WestConn the lead, coming in with a batting average of .442. And she gets the strike. Just catches the outside corner. And Doble in a good spot right now. Difficult situation behind her, but she is picking her spots and making good pitches. Nice setup pitch there. Again, you work up and away. That opens up the inside part of the play. Now you have the batter thinking outside. Can you jam them inside, or do you try and bait them with a pitch even further outside? Just fouled off. Barely getting any piece of metal on it. Rogendorf grounded out to short in her first plate appearance back in the second inning. Runners on second and third for Western Connecticut in a scoreless game with 1 out. Swung on and missed. And Rogendorf is retired for the second out. And just like that, Emily Doble is 1 out away from stranding 2 in scoring position. Western Connecticut going to make another switch, looks like. Erin Keeley's swinging a bat over there. She's due up, so it doesn't necessarily, is it going to be Keeley? Yes, it is. So Keeley re-entering. Remember, she had the first hit of the day, the single back in the second inning. So this is her re-entering as the designated player for Carbone, who pinch ran for her. So this is bringing things back to where we started in her position. So if she were to get on, she couldn't be lifted again without being replaced in the designated player spot.
Number 22, Erin Keeley.
But Keeley, single right up the middle. In her first at bat, she was the only player the first time through the lineup who got on. But things have changed in the fourth inning. Swings, foul tip, strike 1, back into the glove of Tam Landry. This would be a huge jam to work out of for Emily Doble. She gets her ERA back under 2. She'd like to keep it there. In the dirt, Landry picks it out of the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. The count to the WestConn 5-hitter. Sydney Chenoweth due up next. Jada McConey's on third. Cordova on second. It is fouled away. And Doble is 1 strike away. So it'd be a huge sigh of relief. The Beacons could get out of this, turn it back to their offense. In a still scoreless game against Galambuski, who has looked great. Swung on, hit to short, and it's gloved over there. by Kaylee Bruce, and UMass Boston does escape the jam. Second and third, nobody out, and they get a foul-out pop-up by Brianna Malvino, a Rogendorf strikeout, and a Keeley lineout to get out of the inning with no runs. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. It's been a clean game defensively. Critical 2 runners left on base for Western Connecticut. And now the question is, can UMass Boston use that little bit of momentum that they gained by working out of trouble to put a run on the board? We knew coming in it was likely going to be a game that was decided by just 1 run, maybe. Max 2, it felt like, looking at the numbers for these 2 teams that traditionally let up less than 3 runs per game, and in WestConn's case, less than 2. But they're going to have to find a way to get to Galimbuski, who, outside of just the solitary walk of Sydney Sandin on a 3-2 pitch back in the first inning, has been nigh untouchable. She's retired the last 7 batters she faced and has 7 strikeouts through 3 innings. She will get Perquette, Sandin, and Tilbury in this bottom of the 4th inning. We are already halfway through this game. It's only 3:41. Squaring to bunt and failing to do so is Perquette. Perquette from Western Massachusetts, Pittsfield. Takes ball 1 just outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2, 3, and 4 come into the dish for UMass Boston. Galimbuski winds, check swing, sprayed foul. Mentioned that Western Connecticut has not played since last Wednesday because of their postponements against Castleton and Williams. Those were 2 games, a doubleheader which they swept at home against Purchase College. Purchase from New York. And those were 2 shutouts, a 9-inning or a 9-0 5-inning Mercy Rule game in the first, and then a 7-0 follow-up. Pitch fouled off. Staying alive in the count is Perquette. UMass Boston still looking for their first hit. They have a base runner on Sandin's walk, but that is it. And they have not hit a softball today that has left the infield yet. This one bounced good 6 inches in front of home plate. Count levels at 2 balls and 2 strikes. See UMass Boston. The reason they're trying to square to bunt so many times is they feel like they're not going to get any real power generated off of Galimbuski. They're just trying to work their way aboard. Ooh, this one rides up inside, and the count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Would love to be able to work a walk here, lead things off, potentially play some small ball, get somebody over into scoring position with less than 2 out, and maybe you can get something through the infield. The 3-2. Grounded to third, gloved, and getting her by a good step. Nice play over there by the third baseman, McConey. And Perquette worked back into the count, had to swing at that pitch. Third baseman, though, playing in, making the play without too much difficulty. Lots of strikeouts in this one, but the fielding's been good.
The second baseman, number 14.
No major misplays. 1 out for Sydney Sandin, Beacon's only base runner so far today. She takes ball 1 high on the fastball. Reason softball is typically very difficult on the hitters. We'll Take you through that after Golembuski's 1-0 pitch. Foul to the left side. Baseball, one, you have a lot longer for the pitch to get to you, which doesn't sound like too much, but it is longer because of the farther distance from home plate. But because of the arm angles, a lot of times you can pick up the speed of the baseball, or more likely the spin of the baseball, early, because sometimes the arm angle is different depending on the pitch that you're throwing. Whereas for softball, for the most part anyway, everything looks the same coming out of the hand because of the delivery. And so you are trying in the split second, without being able to get any tip-offs from arm angle, to pick up the spin of the pitch and figuring out where it's going to be and dip and move. And so as a result of that, elite softball pitchers typically have much lower ERAs than the best baseball pitchers. Baseball nowadays, an ERA somewhere around 3.5, and in college it may be even for a starter in the low 4s. That's elite pitching nowadays. In softball, you get team ERAs like you have in this game of south of 3, south of 2, and yet you're 10-6. Again, Western Connecticut has an ERA coming into this game as a team of 1.92 as this one hit just foul outside of third. 1.92 ERA. In baseball, that would be an ERA that could lead you to a near undefeated record. In softball, that's not the case. UMass Boston the same. 10-6 record, ERA of 2.78. If that's baseball, you think, how on earth do you lose 6 games with that ERA? It's because pitching is much more dominant in this sport. Another 2-strike pitch, another foul ball. Went into the storage shed, so I guess that's a good place for it to go. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Golembuski continuing to pour things into the strike zone, and UMass Boston having difficulty getting anything in fair territory. This one ripped, but right at McConey. So McConey has made both outs over at third base, one on the ground, and then that one a perfect liner, but positioned beautifully. By far the best contact that any Beacon hitter has gotten onto the softball. And Sandin's put together 2 really great at-bats, worked a walk in the first, and that one, third baseman is anywhere else. That's down the line for at least a double. Instead, it's the second out. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning of Game 1 of this doubleheader between your Beacons and Western Connecticut. This one looks low, and it is. 2 balls and no strikes. And I think this is the first time that I can remember with Golembuski down in the count 2-0. She has gotten ahead of every single hitter that I can remember, either 1-2 or 0-2. Swinging away on the 2-0 pitch, got the pitch to hit, but fouls it off the top of the bat. Tilbury, strikeout victim, swinging her first time. That was back in the bottom of the first. Golembuski, deep breath, delivers, and she is now behind the count. 3 balls and a strike. But she has been, as advertised, coming in with an ERA of .83. And that has gone down even a further couple of hundredths over the first 4 innings here. And that should be strike 2. It is strike 2. Just barely catches the top of the zone. Home plate umpire was ready to ring up Tilbury, but it is a full count. And Golembuski, this one fouled off again off of the storage container. This has been a position where a couple of Beacons have been able to get to this point. They've been able to battle back into counts, make them full, force Golembuski to throw strikes, but the problem is she has. Another 3-2. Inside, Beacons get their second base runner. Both have reached on a walk. atypical for Golembuski to walk multiple hitters at any point. Only her 13th walk of the season compared to 26 hits, but a little bit of two-out action for UMass Boston. Still looking for their first hit, but
Center fielder, number 5, Christina Pangiotopoulos.
as Pangiotopoulos comes in, see if something can be created. Runner takes a big lead. Now she has to dart back, and she's there in time. Tilbury over at first base has tried to steal 2 bases this season. She's successful 1 of the 2. But would not be shocked to see Coach Ardagna try and put something in motion. The likelihood that you drive a pitch against this pitcher is minimal. So any base runner really that either team has on first base, expect them to try and put something in motion to get that player to second base, and you hope you get 1 hit that drives them in. Because asking for 2 may be 1 too many. Runner does take off. Down to second. She is out. Tilbury took off. Played on the 1-hop, though. Gabrinas down to second base. Dug out of the dirt by Ushka. And both teams have now had a runner caught stealing in this game. No runs, no hits, no errors because of the caught stealing. Nobody left on base. But you live with that. That was the play, and it's a good tag down at second. Ushka bounced it in there, but played nicely. You were just hoping you could slide under that tag. That was your one hope. Because the tag ended up coming into the chest area of Tilbury. But throw definitely beat her, and not too much contest of the call. So 4 innings in the books. We remain scoreless between Western Connecticut and your Beacons. Watching the Beacon Broadcast Network, part of the Little East Conference Network. As things have cooled down a little bit, when the sun has shown in here. Now, this softball field is surrounded by decently tall buildings as well, so the sun has to be in the perfect position to shine through here. That's why you get some interesting wind tunnels and some cooler conditions. It's a little bit sunnier and warmer just a couple hundred feet away over at the baseball field, but that's what we play in right now. As the temperature itself is positively gorgeous, 57 degrees. Probably feels around 55, but here in the shaded area, surrounded by dorm rooms and student centers and the Clark Athletic Center behind us, the wind blows through here, and it definitely chills things down a bit here at UMB softball field. We head to the 5th. First pitch is swung on and driven out to center. Playing it out there without too much difficulty, though, is Pangiotopoulos. And first batter, Chenoweth, retired easily. Probably the deepest that any ball has been hit today, as both pitchers have been excellent in their respective circles. In steps Ziccanelli, strikeout victim, her first time swinging in the 3rd. Checking the sheet on her left arm and getting ready to pitch is Doble, and she throws a beautiful drop pitch. Looks like a fastball, and then the bottom just falls out of it. Not so much that it's a full-on curveball, but enough that it just drops under the bat head for a strike. And sometimes you feel like there's a hole in your bat when that pitch happens. It's honestly sometimes comedic to watch as the batters will look at their bat as if to say, how the heck did I swing through that? It's because it just dropped under you. The pitch. Gets the strike call. Nice framing work as well behind the plate by Tam Landry. Might have been just off the outside, and she pulls it back and gets it. The pitch. Upstairs and outside. just got it on the outside of the bat. Fouls it off. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Beacons and WestCon met down in Danbury last year, April 22nd. It's a midweek doubleheader for that one. Beacons would fall in the first game 6-4 and win the nightcap 7-2. It's the count full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. And that's high for ball 4. Wasn't as high as the batter made it look. She ducked under it and got the call. It was probably a ball, but definitely not over the head of the hitter. So a one out base runner for Western Connecticut. In the first game of that doubleheader last year, Golembuski threw a complete game, got the win. Surrendered 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned, struck out 6, walked 2. Doble appeared in that first game as well. She took the loss in relief through 2 innings in relief of the starting pitcher, Catania. Surrendered 3 runs, all earned on 2 hits to take that 6-4 loss. Who will take the first game in this doubleheader? It remains to be seen as we are scoreless in the top of the 5th. Pitch is low. Doble surrendering her first walk. She's given up 3 hits, 2 singles and a double, but no runs, and has walked her first base runner aboard. That's Ziccanelli down at first. Laying down the bunt is the catcher, Cabreras, excuse me. Now they throw down to second and try and beat the player taking the turn, Ziccanelli. So it is a successful sac bunt by Cabreras. Ziccanelli moves down to second base, and they will take the second out with an opportunity to score the runner on a single base hit. That's the key to both these teams' successes offensively, or lack thereof, I would say. Can they get 1 hit to push the runner across from second base? Western Connecticut had runners on second and third and nobody out last inning. But a pop out in foul territory to the first baseman by Halvino. A strikeout by Rogendorf, the team's best hitter. As this one laid down, they try and go for another bunt. This time, is it a single? It is. They got her. No, they don't. They throw it out home. She's out. They get her on the back thigh. And no argument either. Ziccanelli out on the tag, having a conversation with the home plate umpire, Heather Stone. I thought they might have gotten Ushka on the bunt single, but she legs it out. But Ziccanelli tries to take home, and I think it's pretty telling that Ziccanelli did not react at all when she was tagged down at the plate. She would have reacted very differently, I would say, if she didn't feel the tag on the back of her leg. But a beautiful swipe tag by Landry as the runner does not go in sliding. She went in feet first. She beats that throw because Landry's not going to be able to get that tag down underneath where she was. Instead, she just turns, swipes, and gets the back of the leg. Eerie similarities to the old Jeremy Giambi shovel flip from Derek Jeter back in the early 2000s, where Giambi does not go in sliding and Posada just swipes the tag on the back of the leg. And that play never happens if the batter slides. But either way, Ziccanelli out at the plate for the 3rd out of the inning. UMass Boston once again gets out of trouble. Play ends up going a 2-3, actually 1-3-2 because it was fielded by the pitcher. And a perfect tag by Tam Landry. Ziccanelli out at the plate, and we remain scoreless heading to the bottom of the 5th inning.
Number 5, Christina Pangiotopoulos.
That's why they always teach you to slide. Even when you think you can beat the throw, going sliding makes things much more difficult for the catcher to catch it, turn, and get down to the ground to lay a tag. Pangiotopoulos, Bruce, and Landry up against Galimbuski, who has to think, how am I still in a tie ball game? Her team very easily could have at least 1, 2, even 3 runs on the board. But some great hitting, some opportune pitching as well from Doble, and working out of trouble for the second straight inning. This one ripped to second, picking it nicely and then throwing it across the first baseman, who makes a nice play, Rogendorf. It's a nice snag over there at the second base bag by Ushka. Pangiotopoulos getting good wood on it as well. We've seen the last 2 batters for UMass Boston, or 2 of the last 3. Sandin's ripped to third base, and now Pangiotopoulos over to the second baseman. They're starting to get some contact, which I guess is saying something. But they still are unable to get any runners into scoring position. They have yet to advance a runner past first base. The closest they got was Tilbury trying to steal second in the last inning and doing so unsuccessfully. Kaylee Bruce, right-handed hitter. See that open stance, tries to slap it toward that left side. See jumping off her line, ready to react to it. McConey at third. All the middle infielders as well as the corner infielders have done a really good job. We've only seen a couple of balls reach the outfield at all. 2 strikes the count against Bruce. The 0-2. Ooh, that is not the pitch that Kaylee Bruce thought it was going to be. And as a result, got her guessing. Ends up swinging through strike 3 for the second time today. That's the other thing you see a lot, is particularly against these elite pitchers, you'll have to sit a certain pitch. You know you're not going to be able to, with her arsenal, you can't just take what you're given and hope. As this one's laid down, sprinting down to first. They're going to get her, though, by a half a step. Tam Landry, the catcher. 1, 2, 3. Go the Beacons in the bottom of the 5th. No score through 5. Off to inning number 6. To finish the previous thought, though, in softball, when you have these elite pitchers, and we talked about elite pitching today, oftentimes you can't go up there thinking, like you could in certain situations in baseball, particularly against pitchers that you're not too worried about overpowering you. You can go up there looking for a strike. In softball, especially against a pitcher like Galimbuski, you have to go up there with a thought in mind of, she's probably going to get me out with 3 out of her 4 pitches, so I'm going to sit on 1 pitch, and I got to look for it, and I got to hope I get it. And if I do, I have to do something with it. Otherwise, you're pretty much in a hopeless situation. So in that situation, Kaylee Bruce had a 2-strike pitch in her head where if that was the pitch she got, she had to go after it and do something good with it. And if not, she just had to hope it was something else. And unfortunately, she got something else and was able to do nothing but swing through it wildly. But that's why it's so difficult. Doble similarly, but Galimbuski, you can see the real overpowering stuff that she has. You can sit fastball, you can sit rise ball, you can sit changeup. Haven't seen a ton of hard-breaking stuff for Galimbuski. She's been relying on speed and positioning in where her pitches are going. But you can pretty much sit changeup, fastball, rise ball. And if you get anything else, you're going to be swinging through it or letting it go. And sometimes that's why you get strikeouts looking, too, on some pitches that you're like, why wouldn't you swing at that? Because that's not where you're sitting.
Third baseman, number 13, Jada McConey.
Third time through the batting order for Western Connecticut as we start the 6th inning. McConey, Cordova, and Halvino. First pitch bounces off of home plate. Glove behind there by Landry, who has saved this shutout so far for Doble with her great tag on the thigh area. As this one ripped, it's going to go foul, though. And you can see a frustrated, jumping out of the way, Heather Stone, hoping that it could curve fair, but fighting against gravity to do so. The pitch. That's a strike. And as soon as that hit the glove, Tam Landry was pointing out to Emily Doble, saying she loves that pitch. 2 strikes to count on McConey. Swinging and driving this one towards center field. Settling under it is Pangiotopoulos, making the out for the first.
Center fielder, number 17, Carly Cordova.
Sarah Harlinski has only touched the ball once today defensively, and that was her backing up Pangiotopoulos on the play that she laid out for, the double that was left wanting in that 4th inning. Pitch is called a ball by the home plate umpire. This team's cruising through, but Western Connecticut has looked the most likely to score as this one hit out towards short right. Making the play on it to retire the second out is Deudy. Doble hasn't recorded a strikeout in her last couple of innings. UMass Boston still has not put a single runner in scoring position today. Western Connecticut has threatened to score in the last 2 innings. They had 2nd and 3rd and nobody out in the 4th, as that's a fastball for a strike to Brianna Malvino, who's taken over out in right field for Carly Vito. Malvino came up with that 2nd and 3rd, nobody out situation. Hit a short pop-up. Great job jumping off her line by Jordan Toomey over at first, and was able to basket catch it in between first and home for the first out. That would be followed up by a strikeout, as this one ripped to left is going to be played on one hop out there by Harlinski. 2-out single for Malvino, and that feels good because you bring up Amber Rogendorf, who's 0 for 2 today. But as a result, you would say she's probably due, hitting 442. Very rare do you set this player down 3 times in a row. The sun shines in here to UMB softball field. That feels good. This one hit once again over to first base. Exact same situation. A little bit easier, though, for Jordan Toomey. And 6 shutout innings now for Emily Doble have given UMass Boston a chance in this. If they can get something going, we came in thinking it would only need 1. Now you're getting more and more certain that that would be the case. 3 straight innings now that Western Connecticut has left at least 1 runner on base. They had the 2nd and 3rd no-out situation in the 4th. Runner on second, 2-out situation in the 5th. That was the leg tag by the catcher to get the final out of the inning after a really nice bunt single down the line by Rachel Ushka. And then in that inning, just the runner on first base. But Western Connecticut has looked the most likely to score, and that doesn't mean they're going to win this ball game. UMass Boston is going to make a switch for Jordan Toomey. They're going to bring up Kaylee Ruggiero. And so we'll see if changing things up and going with the pinch hitter does anything. Ruggiero on the season for your Beacons has been a starter for much of the year. Had started 10 of the 11 games in which she played, but has struggled at the plate. 5 for 27. That evens out to a 185 average. Has worked a walk and been hit by a pitch, and UMass Boston will take anything. They have yet to get the lead runner on base once through 5 innings against Golembuski. They've gotten a couple on, both by walk. They still don't have a hit today, but they are trying to get somebody on base early in the inning that they can potentially move over to a second, knowing that just one hit could potentially score that runner, and Western Connecticut feeling the same. But Golembuski has been motoring through Beacon hitters for the most part. Just outside, that has been pretty much par for the course so far for Golembuski. Get the 2 strikes, try and locate the outside fastball. But she hasn't been able to get that for a strike. Ruggiero swings, hits it on the hands. Routine pop-up out towards second base. Glove there by Ushka. Sarah Harlinski, left-handed hitter. Tries to slap, takes strike 1. Golembuski has been so good today in so many areas, but the one that really stands out, mentioned it earlier, her ability to throw first pitch strikes and get ahead in the count. Fouled back, and just like that's another 0-2. You get ahead in the count, you will retire the vast majority of batters that you face in baseball and softball. It's why it's one of really the advanced metrics. I'm not a huge proponent of them, but if there's one metric that I think does work in terms of a pitcher, and it's because it probably makes sense. A lot of them are complicated, overly sabermetric stats, but the one that isn't, when you're ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes or 1 ball and 2 strikes, the batting average against is typically pitifully low, as opposed to 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, the prototypical hitters counts. You look at the difference between those different counts and what the batting average is. This one pops away. She's going to be able to get down to first and a strikeout. Popped out of the glove of Gabrinas, and maybe that is what gives UMass Boston a chance, because Harlinski can run. Strikeout, passed ball. Harlinski with speed, the 9-hole hitter typically does. Harlinski is 6 for 6 in stolen base attempts this season. And so Western Connecticut got the strikeout, but UMass Boston just has 1 out in the inning. This would be a crazy way to get yourself a little bit of a rally. Harlinski, big lead, swinging through it is Diuti. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Beacon leadoff woman. Diuti has struck out swinging and looking. She lays down the bunt, heads down the line at first, tries to leg it out, and it's dropped at first base. Runner's going to take third as well. I think that has to be an E3. It was right in the glove. And UMass Boston has runners on first and third and 1 out. And frankly, this should be inning over, all things considered. So Harlinski advances on the sac bunt. It's a sac bunt by Diuti. So it is not, even though it is an error by the first baseman, it is a successful sac bunt. So that is not actually an out recorded for her. It's not even an at-bat recorded for her. It is still a sac bunt. So sac bunt, runner advances second to third on the E3. So it's runners on the corners as UMass Boston huddles things up. The leading run stands just 60 feet away. What a crazy sequence of events. UMass Boston still does not have a hit. They have runners on the corners on the back of a strikeout passed ball and a sac bunt followed by a dropped play over at first base by Amber Rogendorf, who is typically an excellent first baseman, not to mention a clutch hitter. And yet Rogendorf is 0 for 3 today at the plate, too. Brittany Perquette is the batter to come up. Both teams meeting. 15th-year head coach Heather Stone meets with her infield and pitcher Haley Golembuski, who has really been excellent today and yet could find herself on the wrong side of things if things don't go well here. Meanwhile, for the Beacons, 15th-year head coach Natalia Ardagna, hoping that's exactly what happens. And it is going to rest on the bat of Brittany Perquette, the designated player. Now, we saw in a first and third no-out situation for WestConn in the fourth, they released the runner, Carly Cordova, down to second base to see what UMass Boston would do, and the Beacons actually allowed them to steal the base. That's exactly what they're going to do again. So the runner's going to take second. No throw down there. Stolen base by Diuti. And that removes the potential double play. Now, double plays in softball are certainly a lot less prevalent than they are in baseball, but they do still exist, and you remove that from play. Second and third, one out. UMass Boston and WestConn in a scoreless ball game in the bottom of the sixth inning. WestConn had two golden opportunities to score. They could not do so on either opportunity. Now the Beacons have their first chance at that. The pitch. Strike. It's a delayed call, but definitely in the strike zone. Brittany Perquette, a strikeout and a ground out to the third baseman, McCauley. McConey's been really good down at third, and she might have to make one last play as well with the left-hander probably trying to go oppo. Swung on and fouled back. 2 strikes. Golembuski has had the strikeout pitch today. She needs one here. Struck out 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, 1 in the fifth. This would be the biggest one here in the sixth. The pitch.
Awesome.
Great foul back.
Biggest fan. Number 1 fan.
Perquette in a huge situation for a player only playing in her 4th game of the year. Looking for her first run batted in. And she's going to get it. This is going to score a run. And they don't even get the ball. It drops beyond the left fielder. Beacons score 1. Here comes the second. It's a 2-run double for Brittany Perquette. And the Beacons lead at 2-0. As soon as it was hit off the bat, you knew Ziccanelli was not going to be able to get the runner at home, but she couldn't even get the play out and left. As she kept getting chased back further and further. And unbelievably, UMass Boston has the lead on their first hit of the day.
Timeout. Did you get that for the
And that is going to be the end of Haley Golembuski's day.
Make sure you start it after.
They're going to make a pitching change through 5 1/3. We'll get you the information on the new pitcher. It's number 20, Sarah Milico. So what a crazy turn of events in this 6th inning. I'll have to confirm, but I do believe that both of those runs stay unearned because that inning should have ended on the error. The strikeout and pass ball followed by the error, so I don't believe that gets charged. I don't think either of those runs actually get charged to Golembuski as earned runs, but it doesn't matter. She'd still be on the hook either way for the loss. Absolutely crazy. If you're joining us late, UMass Boston taking a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the sixth inning. It took them that long to get their first hit of this game, but it never really should have come about. All started with a pop out to second base to start this inning by Kaylee Ruggiero. Then Sarah Harlinski struck out swinging, but the catcher dropped the softball. She was able to leg it out to first base. That was followed up by a sac bunt by Ali Diuti that moved the runner to second base, but the first baseman dropped the softball for an E3, and a very alert Harlinski took third. Then following a stolen base by Diuti to put runners on second and third. Western Connecticut allowed that to happen. Didn't want the runner to come home from third. Then it was a blasted double by Brittany Perquette to get her first runs batted in of the season in just her fourth game of the year. It was at the very least going to be a sac fly, but it turns out to be a double. Changeup thrown in there by Sarah Milico. Her seventh appearance of the year. 6 of them have been in relief. 13 and a third innings pitched, ERA of just 1.05, part of this very potent WestCon pitching crew. Fouled for 1 ball and 2 strikes. But 13 and a third innings pitched, just 2 runs allowed, both of them earned runs. She's not a strikeout pitcher in those 13-plus innings, just 3 Ks, but has never walked a batter this season. So throws strikes, 16 hits allowed. Just 1 extra bagger surrendered. That was a double. Beacons still have a runner on second base. That's strike 3. So Milico gets her 4th strikeout of the season. Sydney Sandin down swinging. Got a feel for Haley Galambuski. Those 5 and a third innings were so strong.
Third baseman number 3, Haley Gilberry.
But at the end of the day, it was a dropped third strike and a dropped play at first base that may have doomed her. This one played over there by McConey. Throws across the diamond to Rogendorf to end the 6th inning. But the Beacons finally break through. They score 2 runs on 1 hit, 1 critical error, along with 1 dropped third strike and 1 woman left on second base. We are off to the top of the 7th inning. Last licks for Western Connecticut. Against Emily Doble, it's the Beacons 2 and Western Connecticut nothing. What a crazy, crazy game we had. And that was the thing. When WestCon let 2 opportunities go wanting, you got the feeling that the Beacons were going to have one chance. And if they could take advantage of that opportunity, they could swipe a victory here, and they are 3 outs away from doing just that. How will WestCon counter? They have 5, 6, and 7 due up in this inning. Get you the final numbers on Galambuski. Galambuski goes 5 and a third. Faces 20 batters. Just that 1 hit, 89 pitches, 2 runs. 1 of them is earned. So the passed ball strikeout.
Leading off the WestCon.
That does go to her name. The error does not. So that increases her ERA to a still incredible 1.31. But just 1 hit allowed, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, but it may not be enough. Erin Keeley, Sydney Chenoweth, Madison Ziccanelli. Western Connecticut's last hopes in this 7th inning as they try and avoid falling in their first conference game of the season and giving UMass Boston their first win. Another pop out to the first baseman. UMass Boston's really been excellent in the field. Both teams have until that bottom of the sixth.
The shortstop,
But
number
Keeley is
14,
out
Sydney Chenoweth.
on the P3, and now just 2 outs away are the Beacons from getting their first victory in any 10 play. This one hops off the front of home plate. Karams behind for ball one. After this, we'll have a short break. First pitch for game 2 scheduled for 5 o'clock, but this inning does wrap up. Very likely to start sooner than that, as this one skied on the infield. Shortstop is there, and Bruce puts it away for the second out. Good communication on the infield as well, and this is an opportunity for Doble to close things out. Should be her second shutout of the season. Already looks to be her 4th complete game if she can get one last out of Western Connecticut hitting. Just as it is with baseball, softball can be a kooky game, and even though it was very even, it did look like Western Connecticut was the more likely team to score, particularly in the middle third. But the Beacons taking the opportunities presented to them and pushing 2 runs across on what looks like it could be their only hit of the day. And it was not the player that you thought it would be either. Coming in, you didn't even know if Brittany Burkett would be in the lineup. Just 3 games in 1 start for the designated player today. Comes in 0 for 2. They leave her in the ball game, and instead of potentially lifting her for a pinch hitter, and she delivers against a pitcher that was on top of things. No hitting the Beacons through 5+ innings, and drove one out to the wall in left. Even if it was gloved out there in left, it would have scored a run. 2 balls and a strike. UMass Boston just 1 out away. And now they are 1 strike away. Fouled off behind us. It's Nicole Antonowitz, who is pinch hitting right now for Western Connecticut. She is their last hope. She faces a 2-strike count, and she strikes out. And UMass Boston survives a couple of scary innings in the 4th and 5th.
Final score in game 1.
And Emily Doble throws a shutout. The Beacons break through in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they win their first conference game of the year by a score of 2-0 over Western Connecticut. So the teams will head out to the outfield, huddle up quickly. They will quickly address any blemishes on the field, though shouldn't be too much work. Pound things around the mound, rake up, repaint the lines, and then we will get this back underway once again for Game 2. Scheduled first pitch time is in about 30 minutes or so, 5 o'clock, but we'll see. We may even get underway a couple minutes prior to that. Already the grounds crew heading to work, and we wrap this one up 2-0. UMass Boston victorious over WestCon. Just 1 hit allowed the entire game by WestCon, but they still fall. Beacons 2 runs on 1 hit, no errors. Western Connecticut, no runs on 5 hits, 1 error. Emily Doble gets the win. She throws a 7-inning complete game shutout. That has a beautiful ring to it, doesn't it? She improves to 3-2 on the season, sees that ERA creep under 2.00. Excellent pitching performance from her. A disappointing day for Haley Golembuski. Was not on her. She did her job, surrendered just 1 single hit the entire day, but it was not enough as her offense had a couple of great threatening opportunities but couldn't push anything across. You could say 2 plays of the game. One is the double, the 2-run double by Brittany Perquette. That ended up scoring the Beacons winning runs, but cannot forget that outstanding tag by Tam Landry, as well as the throw down from the first baseman. How about the day by Jordan Toomey defensively at first? It was her throw right on the money to Tam Landry, and then the swipe tag on the back of the leg that got a hustling Madison Ziccanelli trying to score from second base on the bunt. And that was enough for UMass Boston to grab the victory. Beacons improve on the season to 11-6. Improve to 1-2 in conference play. Western Connecticut falls on the year to 10-7. They are 0-1 in NE10 play. We will pause for a little bit, come back in about 30 minutes time for Game 2 of our doubleheader between your Beacons and Westcom. Turn it over to Dave Wahlberg for the rest of the night. For everyone here at UMass Boston, the Beacon Broadcast Network, my name is Mason Self saying so long for now from UMB softball field. We'll see you in 30 minutes. Beacons win the first of two, 2-0.